everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Streaming Wasteland here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where each Friday I highlight three streaming services with one previously released film from each, and hopefully you have a nice docket of films to be checking out for your weekend. And this particular week, we're going to be diving into Netflix, Disney Plus, and Mubi. And let's go back to the 90s. It's the mid 90s, it's 1996. And we're going to be talking about the Roald Dahl adaptation that is Matilda. And this is directed by Danny DeVito, which also stars Danny DeVito and his wife, Rhea Perlman, as the Wormwoods. And this film focuses on the story of a young girl, Matilda, played by Mara Wilson, who winds up going to this particular school led by the Trunchbull, played by Pam Ferris. And really, you only have Miss Honey, played by Embeth Davids, who is a young teacher at this school who connects with Matilda. And Matilda has these wonderful powers, and she's such a precocious young girl who's just trying to do her best to navigate her parents not really caring. Danny DeVito and Real Perman are so great as these deadbeat parents that Matilda has. Wilson does such a fine job of being so charming and sweet, and you buy into her powers and everything that goes on, and how DeVito's able to portray these powers on display is charming and fun and adds some excitement to the proceedings for sure. This is a wonderful little adaptation. Might not exactly have the same kind of bite as you might expect from Roald Dahl, but it is charming, it is sweet, it's quirky. I love the dynamic that Matilda develops with Miss Honey, and I think Davids and Wilson have some fine chemistry together. And this is just one of those kinds of adaptations where, sure, it might not be exactly what author was going for, but this is such a charming, sweet little film. And it definitely works in what it's trying to do. It's fun, iconic moments like the big chocolate cake sequence, making that young obese boy try to eat a whole entire chocolate cake. Really, Ferris is such a big standout here as the Trunchbull. She really captures this this just intensity and frustration, and you just do not like her at all. And she is so great as the villain in this film. But this is a sweet, charming little flick, and you can go check it out on Netflix. Now, heading over to Disney Plus, we're turning back the clock to one of those Disney animated classics and one that might not get as much love anymore. And we're going back to 1963, The Sword in the Stone. And this film is obviously capturing a very specific, very famous tale of young Arthur Pendragon. Yes, we have Arthur, the one who would be king. And here's the story of how he drew the sword from the stone, proving that he was going to be the king that everyone would turn to. And this is that 60s era of Disney animation where it's post like that really first golden age of Snow White and Pinocchio and Cinderella. And, this is in an era that's less beloved in terms of like just how incredible some of those early films were, but it's also very charming and adventurous and fantastical. And I think that's one of the most fun elements of this film is just how much fun and how unabashedly fantasy this film really is because it does not try to shy away from like the weird elements of this story. You, of course, you do have Merlin going toe to toe with this witchy woman doing all kinds of crazy magic and all the different animals and creatures that they wind up turning into, including a giant dragon. And it's just such a fun, wonderful experience that really just, for an hour and 19 minutes or so, you get to sit back enjoy something fantastically fun and wondrous. And sure, it's not one of the best that Disney has made, but it really captures the earnestness of the story and the journey that young Arthur goes on. And, Carl Swenson is so much fun as Merlin, and just this wondrous little experience just captures so much fun. And I think the voice cast, I think they do a fine job. I think the animation is like very 60s Disney animation. And I think it works. It works really well. And this film might be a little thinly plotted, but it has a lot of magic about it that makes it such a fun watch, and certainly worth going back and taking not even an hour and 20 minutes of your time to go check out one that maybe you haven't watched in a long time. I know this was a big one when I was a kid, so going back, I would love to go check The Sword and the Stone out for old time's sake. Lastly, we have Mubi, and this is a particularly special release from 2006 from director Harsem Singh, and this is The Fall. And this fantastical drama is something very special and apparently did not have a whole lot of distribution options, and very recently wound up on Mubi, brokering the first deal to actually stream this. And this is an interesting dual story of in 1920s Los Angeles, a stuntman who's bedridden after he does his first ever stunt. It doesn't go very well. Winds up befriending and connecting with this young girl who he might have ulterior motives at the beginning, but the journey of seeing their little dynamic growing together is one of the most heartwarming and impactful elements of this particular story. I think Lee Pace does a really fine job selling the struggle. This man is indeed struggling. He is going through a lot, and it's just an unexpected occurrence, and how you see this dynamic between him and this young girl grow is just earnest. It has heart and soul to it. And what's really interesting is he tries to convince this girl to help him out by telling her stories of these fantastical five heroes that go across this desert island, vibrant and colorful in terms of trying to take down this evil and this villainous force. And this film really captures that, like, Harry Gilliam style of, whoa, what the hell is going on out here? But it does feel tangible and is able to capture the, the frame narrative, seeing the emotion and the impact on, like, what loss can mean for, you know, a young girl, or like what these dynamics can really be. And once you get into like the story part of this, it is gorgeous. It is colorful. It is vibrant. This is a wild world that is brought to life with the fall. And the music, the direction, the effects, it all really comes together. And this film is, you know, it might not have the most captivating narrative for sure, but what it's able to do is capture some emotion in terms of this dynamic, this pseudo father daughter dynamic that is growing throughout this film. And it's the colorful, energy filled, wondrous adventure elements of this film really makes this soar. And this might not be fully cohesive cinematic experience, but you cannot deny the wondrous places that you get taken to by Tarsem, the director of this film, which this film's also co-written by Dan Gilroy, which is interesting, kind of unexpected. But you have Lee Pace leading the way with a strong performance, and everybody else pretty much follows suit along with it. There's some fun performances, like Robin Smith, who plays Luigi, who's like an explosive expert out of like the five. characters that we have, and you know, each of them are doing a great job. Leo Bill, who plays Charles Darwin, had some interesting layers to it as well. This is just a fascinating film that has so many unique visuals and action set pieces and stuff like that. And the framing device is emotional and impactful too. It's just we know why we're here, and it is for the spectacle, and that spectacle certainly speckles a lot here. But that is a wrap here on another episode of the Streaming Wasteland. Let's do a little bit of summation here. We're going to head over to Netflix for 1996's Matilda, Disney Plus for 1963's The Sword in the Stone, and lastly, we have Mubi and the 2006 release The Fall. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and hopefully you have some fun films to go check out this weekend. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite Roald Dahl adaptation? What do you think's the most underappreciated classic Disney animated film? And also, do you like some crazy, wild, fantastical elements thrown into your films? Well, you should probably watch some Terry Gilliam then. Um, but make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is expanding. We have so many great contributors and collaborators bringing life to so many great shows, whether they're about movies and television and sports and physical media and comics and even more things, I am sure, than, even just chilling and chatting about life. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative. They do some great work. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Streaming Wasteland here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.